At Holloway and Hulling, we deliver the results that Griz fans deserve. If you've been charged with a criminal offense or a DUI, we will fight to defend your rights.
If you've been injured in an accident, we have the offense to get you the compensation you deserve.
Choose the right team. Choose Holloway and Hulling for proven criminal defense and personal injury legal services, a proud partner of Grizzly Athletics. Visit us soon at our new downtown location or check out our website for more information.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Back by popular demand. We got lots of people on Twitter and all the social medias that said, where's the next Talkin Schmidt? The last one was, thanks to all of you guys for listening, the largest downloaded / streamed episode in the history of Talkin Schmidt. I think we need like 100 more to make it even top 10 in Skyline's 12-year history. So if you haven't listened, go listen to it. Put us over the top. Get Andrew into the top 10.
Because I deserve it, guys.
You do.
Again, thank God for me for giving you guys this content and for telling you guys I'm just a serial truth teller. So that's all I do. I light my fireplace with my takes each morning, and I just tell the truth. And I'm glad you guys are listening and paying attention because we're building a movement here.
Well, last time we talked about everything from the flaws of the 3-3-5 defense to the subpar line play for the University of Montana, not just this season, but for a decade plus. We talked about the lack of transparency from the football program. We talked about some of the stubbornness that's associated with the coaching staff. Since then, since we released this episode, some other things have happened, including Montana State winning the FCS National Championship. I know Andrew says this has an asterisk attached to it.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm a Ric Flair fan. Okay.
Me too.
And I was always told that in order to be the man, you have to beat the man. Woo! You know, that's what you have to do. And I didn't see a game against North Dakota State. So you know what? I'm gonna hold on one second. I think I have it right here. That championship doesn't count. Not in my personal record book. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It says right here, and I found this online. The championships all reside in the Midwest, and I see D1 right here, and it says Indiana, and then it goes to D2. So this can't be wrong. I found it on the internet, and therefore, I'm sorry, Cat fans, it doesn't count. And you know what? Hold on. '56 doesn't count either, or 73 or whatever that was.
76.
So in my personal record book, you guys have one championship, and you guys are lucky I haven't taken that away yet. Okay, 1984, you can have that one, and the rest doesn't count. Not in my personal record book. Okay, guys. So if you guys want to win, if you want to impress me, do it against North Dakota State. But you won't because you can't beat them. So I'm sorry. Just it's in my personal record book, North Dakota State is the champion until you beat them. So I'm sorry. Like if you want to impress me, which I know you guys want to do, you have to beat them. By the way, I have it on very good sources that the reason all these Cat players came back in the first place is because they know it doesn't count. So they have to go back and try to do it against North Dakota State. That's why they came back, guys. They looked themselves in the mirror and they said, I am so disappointed in myself for not doing this against the Bison that I have to come back and prove it. And until they do that, they're not going to impress me at all. So I'm sorry. Indiana, you're D1 champions. Congratulations.
Well, I have a lot to say about the Indiana part, but maybe we'll get to that a little later because I actually think that is a very important mark of symbolism, and I actually do think it affects the way we think about football in the state of Montana for sure, because Indiana just proved that investment, leadership, vision, having a high standard, all those things can overwhelm talent in a payroll. Indiana has great talent, but they don't have the biggest payroll or the most talent among anybody. And
You know what I find fascinating about that, Colter, and we've texted about this. 4 years ago, Kurt Segnetti beat Bobby Hauck in the playoffs at James Madison. 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And that was when Sammy Akeem got hurt and our quarterback got hurt. Cam Humphrey got hurt, and wheels kind of just all fell off. And Kurt Segnetti beat Bobby Hauck. The same guy who just put the boots to the rest of college football was playing against Bobby Hauck. And now both Kurt Segnetti and James Madison were in the FBS playoffs. And Segnetti just won the national championship. It's absolutely wild to me. That's wild. How fast it can go.
I mean, it's wild. It just shows you what are the things that if you actually do dedicate. First of all, the president of Indiana deserves a ton of credit. She came in there and said, hey, we're just the laughing stock of the Big Ten in football. No, we're not doing that anymore. That is a stupid attitude to have. We've believed for 150 years we can't beat Michigan, we can't beat Michigan State, we can't beat Ohio State. No, we're not doing that anymore. And like somebody was saying, well, they got Mark Cuban. Well, guess what? Mark Cuban graduated from Indiana in 1981. They just now started getting money from him. I know it's different with the NIL and whatever, but like they invested in this, and it just shows you if you have great leadership, great vision, you hire a great coach, you believe in it. Indiana had as many top 10 wins this year as they had in the history of their football program.
Yeah,
consider that.
It was wild, and even Mark Cuban said that he didn't really donate that much until this year,
right?
Because he said. They weren't very happy with me last year. They'll be a lot happier this year. Right. And it's like, man, they just turned on the money cannon there. And what I found also interesting about how they did it is their average age was 23 years old.
Right.
Like they got just old dudes who weren't like 4 stars or whatever, but it's like the BYU model, right? You have all these guys who are older and more mature than everyone else, but they also are talented, and they just ran roughshod all over the Big Ten, which is like the best conference in football. Well, they destroyed them.
That's the model now too. I said this on my ESPN show yesterday, but here's a great statistic for you. First of all, the last 3 champs, which is the sample size of the 12-team playoff. We've had 12-team playoff for 3 years. Last 3 champs are all from the Big Ten. Michigan started 0 freshmen, 2 second-year guys, 4 third-year guys, but then 7 4-year guys, 8 fifth-year guys, and 2 sixth-year guys. So that's 17 guys that are their starters are either 4th, 5th, or 6th-year guys. Ohio State, 1 freshman. That was, Jeremiah Smith, that doesn't count as a freshman. He's the best player.
Yeah.
He's the most talented player in college football. Yeah. But, he was their 1 freshman. They had 2 second-year guys, 2 third-year guys, then 10 fourth-year guys, and 8 sixth-year or fifth-year guys. So 18 guys that are 5th or 6th-year guys for Ohio State. Indiana, same deal. 0 freshmen, 2 second-year guys, 2 third-year guys, 10 fourth-year guys, 8 fifth-year guys. I mean, so you're talking about you have your entire starting lineup is seniors. That's the model, man. That's what people need to get is experience within systems. Those things are the things they're going to weigh out. Because, again, Indiana's poured money in. They have good talent. They don't have more talent than Alabama or Oregon or Texas. And they also don't have more money. And they just beat the shit out of 2 of those teams in the last 2 weeks.
And what's crazy to me too is once the transfer portal and the NIL stuff floodgates open 3 years ago, right? We haven't seen an SEC champion. And I don't think there's been an SEC team in the championship, right? So all the Big Ten are oh, you're letting us pay players now, and this is all above board, and we don't have shady briefcase full of money like the SEC was doing forever. We can just do this now. The SEC might be kind of screwed here going forward because there are a lot of rich alums in that Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, that whole Midwest region that are going to pour so much money into it. I don't know if you follow Spencer Hall, who writes Every Day Should Be Saturday, but every year he has a donation train, basically, which is like, hey, donate to this. It's like pathways for like immigrants or something like that, and say what you're donating to and give like a number. So like, you'll donate $74.30 whatever cents and say this is for Montana's record against the Cats, right? So he does this every year, and people put in their donations. And he says whoever wins, he gets a tattoo of that school on him, commemorating them winning that year. He has like 5 Michigan tattoos in a row. Like every year, Michigan wins that thing, like going away, and he gets a Michigan tattoo. So like that's been going on for a while. And to see that now, like people just doing that for fun, but now they get to do it for athletics and get these players from the transfer portal, like that's what they're going to do going forward, and the SEC might have a hard time catching up with those guys.
Drink a beer and support a Griz athlete. DraftWorks is a longtime favorite of beer enthusiasts across the Treasure State, and DraftWorks has created a sessionable, delicious lager that donates part of every sale to the name, image, and likeness efforts at the University of Montana. Up with Montana Lager is a crisp, effervescent beer that pours pale straw in color and greets you with an inviting malty aroma, and it's crafted with Griz athletes in mind. If you're headed to the tailgate or stocking up to watch football, give back to the NIL Collective at the University of Montana by drinking Up With Montana Lager, proudly created by DraftWorks Brewing.
Hello, my name is Kelly Ayat, quarterback at the University of Montana. In the off-season, it's important to do everything you can to prepare for the season. In high school, that means funding your program. In my experience, Vertical Raise is the ultimate online fundraising platform. Now broaden your reach of your fundraiser and bring in more money than other platforms. And there are no sneaky or hidden fees like other companies. If you're trying to raise money for your program, reach out to Vertical Raise today.
Well, that was the other stat I loved about Indiana, is that they have 804,000 living alums, the most of any school in the United States of America. It's like the James Madison proxy, right? Like when James Madison got so rich, not because of anything besides the fact that they have 35,000 students and they decided to charge them a real athletic fee, and they make $50 million in revenue without selling a ticket. I mean, Indiana, if you got 804,000 living alumni, I mean, you get everybody to give you $10, you just made a lot of money, let alone if you get people to give you 100 or 1,000. Now you're talking about real revenue generation. So anyways, Indiana, I think, is a good example of what it can become. And we're going to get to sort of the leadership change that is happening in real time right now at the University of Montana. But joking aside, Montana State takes home the FCS National Championship. How do you think this should affect the way the Griz think about everything, but especially football?
I mean, I couldn't get this in earlier. Let's just make sure we correct it. It's a cat-sterisk national title. Okay, Colter. I know how you guys love your Catterday and stupid shit like that. I will be referring this as to the 2025-26 cat-sterisk title. Okay, so how does that impact? What was the question? How it goes forward?
I mean, how does it actually impact the way the Griz think about things? And regardless of the national championship, the Griz lost to the Cats twice in a month, and then they just got swept in basketball too. That's the part where it's like this eye-opening experience, right? I've never covered 3 rivalry things in 6 weeks. It was pretty eye-opening to be in Bozeman and see the national championship banner come down. Like that was the thing where you were like, wow, this is real. They actually did this. I hope everybody at Montana has watched.
Yeah. And it wasn't like some writers in the 90s giving them a basketball one, right? So like from 1924 or something. So like
1929, the golden
1920, oh God, such bullshit. Anyway, how that affects, right, Montana. I can tell you, like right now, it is like code red in the athletic department, in the university, and kind of an eye-opening moment for them. I'm glad they're getting to it now, finally. I've only been saying this for like a decade, that you need to be watching like what's happening, and it took this. So like, I'm sorry that it took this to get them to pay attention, but it seems like they're paying attention now, which is nice. We, both of us have heard from athletic officials at the university, and they've reached out to a lot of people, including myself. I didn't know that they watched this show. But they reached out to me and said, "Hey, that's the term du jour is that is tough, but it was fair, and people need to hear it." That's what they keep saying, and that's what they said to me. So, like, I understand that they hear the complaints, and they see the problems, and they want to fix them. I don't know if they will be able to make any sort of quick fix in the near future, unless we get a new president that is going to want to basically clean house. We'll see. But by the way, Waded Cruzado has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. I just wanted to say that. She could do the funniest thing ever and take the Montana job.
Wow.
She wouldn't, but that would be hilarious. But in any event, whoever the president ends up being, they're going to have to take a look at the athletic department and what they're doing and what their track record is, and take inventory as to every sport and what they've been doing, not only against everyone else, but specifically against the Cats. And we'll see what happens. I don't know. I have no idea what will happen in regards to anyone in the athletic department or any of the coaches. But typically when a new president comes in, they want their people. So they're going to want to have their athletic director, and then that athletic director is going to want to have their people as well. So this could be a really big shift happening, and the impetus of it could be what the Cats did. So who knows? I don't know. This could be the moment that the Cats had a decade ago. And you and I have talked about this on this pod before. We've said that the exact example, a long time ago, there was a coach for the Cats named Rob Ashe, who was their winningest coach ever.
Yep.
And then he was 2-7 against the Griz and lost at home.
Yep.
And Waded Cruzado fired him, the new president who took over for Gamble.
Yeah.
She got hired in what, 2010?
She'd been around for like 5 years when that happened. But yeah, she was relatively new. Yep.
Yeah. So fires him. And then Peter Fields, the athletic director, she doesn't renew his contract.
Well, so she let him do the football search, and he wanted to hire Andy Hill, who was a special teams guy from Missouri. And that went by the wayside instantly because she wanted to hire Jeff Choate. So it was basically a double move.
Yeah.
He was not renewed, and Jeff Choate was implemented. And then all of a sudden, Leon Costello is the athletic director.
Yep. So, and she puts her people in, and since then, they've been off to the races, right? So who knows? This president could come in and say, hey, I want, Kent, I think you're Peter Fields. I'm not going to renew your contract. Bobby, I think you're Rob Ashe. I'm not going to renew your contract. And we could have a shift really quickly. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We will see. But it's, everyone loves to chase the transaction and loves the transaction and all that stuff. And that's why the transfer portal is so entertaining. So this is like a very exciting time for Montana and Montana athletics and what the university, because it's the thrill of the mystery box. You don't know what's in the mystery box, and it's titillating, So we'll see what happens, but we're not staying put, obviously. Things are changing pretty quickly.
For those that don't follow the news, I think most of our listeners are pretty well informed and on the social medias and follow along. But Seth Bodner resigned today. This is January 21st, Wednesday, that we're recording this in case you're listening a day or two afterwards. But Bodner has been the president of the University of Montana for 8 years. There's been plenty in the news about him over the last month or so. Scuttle that he might run as an independent for a Senate seat in Montana. There's also scuttle that he might try to get his way into some other form of government. There's scuttle that maybe he builds a campaign strategy and maybe runs for governor against Greg Gianforte. The Senate seat he would go for is maybe Steve Daines. There's also maybe a Congress seat against Ryan Zinke that he might run for. But that's the news of the day. So this will be the first time in a while that Montana's had an opportunity to have a new president.
It's actually fitting, Colter, because when Bodner was hired, I was driving to Missoula and pulled over on the side of the road to give you an interview about it. So it's fitting that on the day that he resigns, I am now doing this again.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens with Bodner. I hope his record against Danes is better than against the Cats. That's for sure. But we'll see what happens. It also gives some really funny possibilities. Like, you guys know how like conservative Bobby Houck is, right?
Right.
And he is now like Bodner, his former boss, is now running against a conservative senator in the state. Like, could Bobby end up campaigning against Bodner? I would love to see that. That would be pretty funny. Giving an endorsement of saying, "Yeah, no, I like Steve Daines actually." who's a cat. So who knows what happens? This strange bedfellows right now.
Talkin Schmidt probably presented by Holloway and Hulling. Holloway and Hulling, your go-to in any form of criminal defense. Visit montanalawyers.net to find out more. Okay, so I want to go next to one of the big criticisms we had about the Griz is recruiting as a whole. Recruiting strategy, but also recruiting execution. They seem like they're stuck on this like endless treadmill that they can't get off of. Like, I understand the circumstance that created it when the pandemic and the canceled season.
Yeah.
That made a lot of guys look elsewhere, and the Griz actually didn't lose hardly anybody during that time. So it made it so they had like this super team of super duper seniors, because a bunch of those guys that had redshirted either before or during the no season in 2020, it gave them like this crazy elongated eligibility. And that came to a head in 2023 because you had all these guys that had been on the team and in the defense for 5 and 6 years. Guys that were, in their mid-20s. We just talked about experience with Indiana. That was the Griz in 2023, right? Like, they had guys that were 23, 24, 25 years old that had been practicing in this defense. And we've criticized the 3-3-5 all the live long day. The 3-3-5 looks pretty freaking good when you got guys that have gone through 6 fall camps and 7 spring balls and so many different times to rep this, and they've done it with each other.
And you have Alex Gubner, right?
And you have Alex Gubner, right? And you got a guy that's done it for, he's a 5-year starter at nose. So I get the circumstance that created sort of this void of like having all these guys graduate, and you tried to fill it on the back end in 24, and now you got kind of sort of stuck in it. But at some point, I feel like you have to just break the cycle. But here we are, and the Griz graduate, I think 28 seniors. They had another 10 guys enter the transfer portal. And what have we seen? At first, like, school started last week, and they only had officially announced like 10 of these guys. So I was thinking, okay, maybe they are scaling back, and they're going to lean in and say, what do some of these guys that are on the roster got? Are any of these guys that are redshirt freshmen or redshirt sophomores, are they coming? Let's see how they're developing. But now here we are, and as we sit, a week and a half into school, I think they've signed 21 transfers. So it's the same as it has been. So what do you make of the fact that we're sort of just running this back? This is the year 3 now of the same strategy.
This field represents big moments, big challenges, and the need for a team you can trust.
At Holloway and Hulling, we understand what's at stake. We are your advocates in Missoula and Western Montana.
We provide clear, result-driven counsel for criminal defense and personal injury cases.
Our new downtown office is where we turn that strategy into action.
Holloway and Hulling, your advocates for justice and a proud Griz sponsor.
Cash One Pawn, Missoula's #1 pawn shop.
Well, you want money, we got money. You need money, we got money. We're cash.
Do yourself a favor and make Cash One Pawn part of your online shopping habits. Cash One Pawn has an awesome online inventory, everything from firearms to power tools to speaker equipment to jewelry. Visit Cash One Pawn today.
Cash One Pawn.
8720 Roller Coaster Road, CashOnePawn.com.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. A few things, right? Last year they hit on probably like 50% of those transfers. Like they did really well in getting a bunch of guys that could play, from Micah Harper to Michael Wortham to Solo Tuliapupu to Peyton Wing to right. There's tons of guys that Hunter Peck, all these guys that played. They had some misses, but Brent Wahlberg put this up. It was like on a Substack, it was like 50% hit rate. Well, the year before, it was like 20%. Like they had a bunch of guys that just weren't good that they just brought in who were like bodies. So for like this next coming year, my fear is that, look, if we have 50% hit rate on those transfers, we brought in a lot of good guys. It still wasn't good enough. It still was not good enough. And so what do you need? You guys need depth, and you need size on the offense and defensive lines. And we're stuck in this cycle where we're bringing in guys who either haven't played at a big school, or they're guys that aren't even all conference at a Pioneer League school. And so my fear, we had another guy who, like Hayden Hanks, could be a great get. He could be. He was the second ranked recruit in the state, Montana kid, went to Boise State, tore his Achilles, had some issues there with the training staff. They medically retired him. He got second opinions. They got cleared, but he can't go back to Boise State. So he comes to Montana. He could be great. But we're also relying on a guy who was medically retired a year ago, right? Well, meanwhile, the Cats have their line basically coming back on both sides of the ball with just a few guys that are gone. So, like, we can break down the rosters all day, do roster talk. That's fun podcasting, right? But is it good enough, right? That's the question that everyone should be asking each time a transfer comes in. Like, you signed a guy who had 14 tackles last year. Is that good enough to catch what's next door? In my opinion, I don't think so. So there better be some guys that are coming up that you recruited in 21, 22, 23 that are ready. Because if they're not, and we're relying on those guys, it's going to be another long season. And from what I understand, Bobby's in a contract year. And if he loses to the Cats again in Bozeman, for 4 out of 5 times, like, I don't see how he comes back. I just don't think that's going to happen. So he better make it work with the guys that he brought in. Otherwise, again, with change, there's going to be change.
This goes back to our criticism of the schematics of it all, because it actually is affirmative to 2 of our main criticisms. The lack of dominance from the offensive line. They had a bunch of homegrown guys on the offensive line and a bunch of transfers, and they tried to make them mesh together, and that did not work efficiently whatsoever this year. It was average at best. And the 3-3-5, like wouldn't you agree that Micah Harper as an individual talent is actually probably superior to most of the safeties that they've had in recent years? But he doesn't understand the scheme like a Robbie Houck or a Nash Fouch or a Garrett Graves or a guy that's played in it for 4 or 5 years, right? Like, Solomon Tuliapupu, physically, talent-wise, is great, but he's not producing at a level of a Patrick O'Connell or even a Riley Wilson. Like Hunter Peck is probably physically as good or better than a Cale Edwards. His numbers aren't as good because Cale Edwards played in the system for years and years and years. So that's where I wonder, like, okay, even if you do hit at a very high rate in terms of the level of talent you're acquiring, that's only part of the equation. If they don't know how to play within the scope of your system, you're going to have a really hard time.
They need to all be basically the defensive version or lineman version of Michael Wortham. They all need to be. And I don't think that they're going to be. I think that hit rate is impossible, right? And I will say this, give the Griz some credit, right? So that on the defensive line, this recruiting class that they got Matt Olson, 6'4", 245, Derek Opitz, 6'3", 250, Evan Pyron, 6'3", 225, Elijah Rincon, 6'3", 230.
One amendment on the Evan Pyron. I saw him at the gym 2 days ago. He worked out right next to me. He is huge. I asked him, I was like, what are you weighing right now, buddy? And he's like 245. He's like, I'm trying to put on more weight, but I'm playing basketball, so it's hard. But he is a monster of an 18-year-old. That dude, he's got some serious upside.
Yeah. So like those guys, they could all be good, right? And then they have Owen Lichetti, 6'7", 285, Josiah West, 6'6", 260. Those are offensive linemen. And I think Lincoln Center is 6'5", 250, says he's an athlete. He looks like a left tackle. So that's the O-line. All of those guys they have good builds, it looks like, for high school kids. Like I was not 245 in high school, right? Like that's a big dude coming in. That you have some stuff to work with there. They're going to be freshmen next year though. So like, will those guys in 2 years, like when they're redshirt sophomore, redshirt whatever, maybe they play as a true freshman, are they going to be 6'4", 280 monsters across the board? Maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing though. You don't really have time to find out whether or not they're going to be, like, you have to go and beat the Cats next year. So these guys that you're bringing in, like, they all better be able to play. Otherwise, you're not going to get the opportunity to use these guys in the future. And so that's what I mean when I say, hopefully they have some guys that they recruited in 21, 22, 23 that can play. Well, 21 would be probably too late, but like, you know, these years, 20, 23, 24, hopefully your recruiting class after that had some guys like the ones you got this year that are ready to go. I was looking at some like offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I don't know a ton that played. So like Austin Bueller, he's going to be a redshirt junior, 6'5", 285 out of Helena. His parents are Griz. His mom's in the Griz Hall of Fame.
He is the litmus test for what I'm wondering about what's going on, because he, coming out of high school, was a prototype. He's got the big frame. He's the 6'5" or 6'6" kid who's about 240, but you can see it. You can be like, that guy could be 290 very easily. He's got good feet. His mom is Greta Koss, who's one of the greatest women's basketball players in the history of the state, played in the WNBA. His dad played for the Griz. He played at a championship program at Helena Capital. Jim Hogan from Carroll College is the offensive line coach there at Helena Capital now. So he got collegiate level coaching while he was in high school. They've produced the most offensive linemen in the state by a country mile over the last 10 years. And he's now been at Montana going on 4 years. How is he not a guy? Like that guy, why are we screwing around with 6th-year senior transfers from Cal who can't play when you could put that guy in? And again, he's going to take his lumps, but that's what happens on the offensive line. Like this year, I hate to always go back to the Cats, but this year, the Cats had an injury on the offensive line 2 weeks before Oregon. Their center broke their hand, so they had to reorganize the whole offensive line. The one domino that fell is they had to throw Braden Zimmer in at left tackle. He was a redshirt freshman. He'd never played college football. They threw him in. He got his ass kicked by Oregon. He got his ass kicked by South Dakota State. By October, he's fine. By November, he's great. By December, he's a freaking All-American. He's getting offered 7 figures. So you have to just cut the umbilical cord at some point and just throw a guy out there. If you can see that he has potential, he has to get game reps to get good.
Well, correct. And I said that with Ayat, right? Like, you need to play Ayat. Like last year, you need to play him. He needs to take his lumps. We need to find out whether he can play or not. I don't know if Bueller ever played. Like I have no idea. I don't think he did. Or not that much because
He's like their eighth guy. So like there's when Amick became the swing guy when Johnson got hurt, then Amick was like the sixth man. Freitas, who I think is pretty good, 76. He was like the seventh guy. He would rotate in at both guard and tackle, and then Beeler was the eighth guy. So he was way down the list.
Yeah. And so, like, look, they love to rotate people. Like, they rotate centers strangely. I don't understand why you're throwing, like, Matten out there to get beat like a drum when you have a freshman or a sophomore who could easily get beat like a drum too. But you can find out whether he's good or not.
And the thing is, the guy that gets beat like a drum when he's a redshirt freshman has such a higher level of figuring it out than the guy that's getting beat like a drum when he's a sixth-year senior. The guy that's a sixth-year senior is not going to figure it out. That's why he's transferred to you. That's why he never played at NC State. He can't, like, I like Patrick Madden. I only interviewed him twice. He's a nice dude. He's from Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is the great name for a town. But, like, you just can't roll with that. Like,
no.
If that's what you're going to roll with, just play the redshirt freshman. Or in this case, Beeler's not even a freshman. He's a junior. He's been in your program for years.
Yeah, correct. And you have that, like, down the board. I was looking at we're going to do this segment. Maybe we'll do it next time, called Is This Good Enough, right? And we break down the roster and look at where we're at on each side. And maybe that's a better for after spring ball when we know who's playing and who makes it, right? But I was looking at the guys that they have that are young that could play. A lot of them have size. A lot of them look big, and like Quinlan Hyatt, 6'7", 285. Ezra Miller, 6'5", 290. Those are both redshirt freshmen. Torin Jeske, redshirt sophomore, 6'6", 271. Like, let's see, redshirt sophomore, Trevor Steinbeck, 6'5", 300. You know, like I that's just a few guys, and I don't know whether they're good enough, right? But they have at least size that they can work with and try. And I don't know if they're going to end up being good or not, but they better roll those guys out and figure it out, like, because all of your starters left. You better figure it out this spring, because you guys couldn't get a push when it mattered this whole season. Your offensive line was not good. You have your fourth offensive line coach in 4 years. Like, you need to figure it out. And if those guys can't play, then you're in the same spot that happened last year. Like, we could win a bunch of games, and it's going to be because of Eli Gilman and Ayat and Brooks Davis. But when it matters at teams that are good against the Cats, you're going to get your ass kicked. So I hope that they recruited well 2 years ago. We'll find out. But these transfers coming in, like this whole thing, I don't think those guys can probably play, a lot of them. I think the hit rate's going to be 20% to 50%. We're going to have some good guys. We're going to have a lot of misses, and then we'll see. But in the question, is this good enough? I don't know. I still have my doubts, considering the Cats brought back like everyone but their secondary. So yeah, I think it's going to be an ass kicking in 10 months, but who knows?
Give me the breaking news. Give me the NFL draft. The pick is it. Give me the sounder.
Here we go.
So this is totally piggybacking, because I actually got this news while we were in the Nashville airport, and I needed to get a second source, and then I just forgot about it. And so Brent Wahlberg from the Griz Fan Pod has already reported this, but since he is a Griz Fan podcaster, which those guys have a ton of information, I'm not saying they don't, but here is a reporter reporting it. Brent Myers is the new head coach, or the new offensive line coach, for the Griz. He comes from Weber State. He worked for Bobby at UNLV. I'll probably say this on my radio show today too.
He works.
Like nothing matters unless it's on Twitter. So I guess I probably should put it on Twitter too.
They goes all the way back to he worked at University of Washington with Bobby and Bobby Kennedy in like 2002 or 2000. Yeah, 2002.
Yep.
So all the way back there, and he was their offensive line coach at UNLV when he went there. Yep. So yeah, Brent Myers is a good coach. We'll see.
I mean,
He's another.
he's put multiple dudes in the league at Weber.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if
Right.
that's just because they're better at recruiting too, right? Like Sua Opeta, for example, who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, I think that me, you, and your wife could put. I mean, the guy is a freak. I mean, he's a 6'5",
Yeah.
325-pound Samoan guy who's angry and mad and physical and all that stuff. So I don't know, but not to demean from Coach Myers. He's a veteran guy who's been around a long time and he's had good offensive line. So hopefully that's a good hire for Montana.
Yeah, I hope so too. He's again the recruiting part scares me because, like I've said, recruiting is a young man's game, and he's the same age as Bobby, you know. So we need young coaches. We still don't have a running back coach, I don't think. We need guys that can connect to kids and you know, hit the high schools and be there at games. And you know, I was listening to the Griz fan pod about is this a bandwidth issue? Like, if you're focusing on the transfer portal, and are you able to have the bandwidth to also do high school kids? And I was listening to it and I was like, just fucking drink a Monster Energy drink, dude, and go get out there and text kids and write them letters, like, and show up at their basketball game. It's not that hard. Like, it is for a 60-year-old to get out there and drink a Monster Energy drink, but
Totally.
like for a 20-year-old, it's not.
Totally.
It's not.
And you know this as somebody is from Montana, and I know you don't live in Montana anymore, but you know the concept of the Montana hotline. Like the Montana hotline, it's always burning up, especially in the sports world. Like we all have connections and we all, you know, especially when you've been involved in sports for as long as we have. And there's all the former players that you're buddies with. There's all the guys that I've known just for my career and all that. Like it's not that hard to keep tabs on, especially when it comes to in-state recruiting. Like who's good, who's a guy to watch. Like you just, I mean, it's not even work. You just have to talk to people. Like if you just talk to people and network and, you know, and like be a part of the community. Like I can't tell you how often I just go to a high school basketball game just for something to do because it's, you know, in the middle of winter in Montana. But then you see, first of all, you see people there that you can talk to, but you can also see, oh, that guy was pretty good at football. Oh, okay. Maybe he could translate pretty well. It looks good on the basketball court. Maybe that guy could be a future defensive tackle or tight end or whatever, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure these guys are doing this to a certain extent, but I don't know, man. The bandwidth issue is not a good excuse for me.
No. Ty Gregorak would show up every day at special teams meeting with a new can of sugar-free Rockstar. And I didn't really understand him. Like he must get the package from Costco. Like he must get the pallet. And he has it every day. And then I was like, the older I get, I'm like, no, I totally get that now. Like he has so much stuff that he needs to do each day as a coach, not only from coaching, but preparing for meetings, checking kids to class, recruiting, going through tape, going through corrections, going through practice plans, going through game plans. Like that's why those coaches are at the facility at 6 a.m. and don't leave till, 11 p.m. Like that's why it's that job. And it's not a charity. This is the life that they chose. It's just, you have to put the work in, and that work sometimes sucks. And it's sometimes all consuming. And if that's not for you, either get yourself a Rockstar energy drink or find a different career. Like that's just kind of your options. And there's going to be a young kid who wants that job and will sacrifice and will give up the family life and all of that. That's what they'll do and what the Cats are doing, right? So like you have to put the work in. You have to. And I don't know how much work they're doing. I can't speak as to the Griz coaches, but I can tell you that based off the results and what we hear, I don't think they're doing it as well as the Cat coaches are.
And like we keep going back to, I think that this is, I think there's microcosmic and there's micro and macro issues here, right? I do think there's some specific dynamics that exist that are detrimental to the efforts of Montana. And I think that is going to be influenced by the fact that their best recruiter and the guy that ran all the recruiting for the last 15 years in Justin Green isn't there anymore. That's going to be something they're going to really have to put a stopgap in. But I also think there's a macro issue here where it's the institutional momentum that Montana State has. I think that the Griz are fighting an uphill battle already, which is exactly why you need to put even more effort in, right? It's why you need to double down and go to the moon with this.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like, credit to, it's kind of Montana let this happen, but credit to the Cats and to that university, what they've done. Okay. There's an old joke that all of you former Griz and all of a lot of alums have heard, but I'll put this in public because it's funny. The joke says, once a Griz, always a Griz. Once a Bobcat, always a pussy. Okay? So that was the thing. That was the joke. Like, if you join the Cats, you're nothing but a pussy, right? And there was nothing ever cool about being a cat. You're a cat, like meow or roar. I'm a little cat. That there was nothing was ever. No one wanted that. No one wanted to be associated with that, except for the people who had to, or people who wanted to work at farms. And they would do the embarrassing stuff like run the rodeo team out in front of the team so the cows could shit on the horses could shit on the field, and like they'd play that stupid roar after first downs, and like nothing about it was cool. And we would make jokes about it. That is completely gone. Like, you have kids completely gone. You have kids like yes, I'm a cat person. Like, to me, it's like mind blowing that it happened in the first place.
It's
like,
mind blowing.
It is a cool. Like the downtown of Bozeman sucks. The university sucks. Like I lived in Bozeman. Like my mom works there. Like, I have been to the university all the time. Like, I've been to the downtown, that one little strip of like 3 bars that sucks. Like,
it's a lot better now, but I know what you're saying.
Yes, but they have made it cool. And I don't know how Montana let that happen. And because Montana has all these advantages. Like, your university looks like it's straight out of a painting. Your downtown is a square with tons of cool places like nestled in, from dive bars to restaurants to whatever. It feels like a town. It's sucked in there. Everyone cares. And you can't sell that. And you let this joke like, hey, if you go to the Cats, you're a pussy, turn into the cool thing to go to. It's amazing. Like, the job that they did.
It's in fact mystifying. It is like beyond. It's beyond the peril of what I thought could even be possible to happen. Like, Montana State having enough momentum to pull even or at least be semi-competitive with Montana. That's not that crazy. But for the whole thing to flip like this and have nobody want to be a Griz anymore and everybody wants to be a Cat, that's truly stunning.
Yes, and like I remember growing up, their claim to fame was having a cow with a hole on the side of it that you could reach your arm into and grab its stomach contents out. And they're like, oh, it's for research. Like, that was the university's claim to fame. We did a field trip there in elementary school with all of us reaching in a cow's stomach. Like, that is the stuff that they celebrated. Like, why would you ever want to go there? And they have changed it. It's not like the school for shit shoveling, the joke that I always make, right? Like, they have tons of stuff going on of people who are invested, who are telling that, as Mike loves to say, telling that story. They're telling that story very well. And they're getting people energized and happy and proud to be part of that university, which is the complete opposite thing of what the Griz are doing, which is why I'm on this show all the time hammering this. They need to do a better job. Yes. They need to do that. They just gave up the ship.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Thinking about selling your home in Missoula? Here's the truth. Buyers are still out there, but they're being picky. That means how you market your home matters more than ever. I'm Ty Hobbs with Hobbs Homes at Keller Williams, and my job is to make sure your listing stands out. From strategic pricing to professional marketing, stunning photography, and targeted advertising, I'll position your home to attract the right buyers and get you the best price possible. In today's market, it's not just about putting a sign in the yard, it's about telling your home story, creating urgency, and negotiating every dollar in your favor. If you've been on the fence about selling, now's the time to talk strategy. Let's see what your home could sell for and how we can make it happen.
It's a hugely influential, what you did, the dynamic you just described is also hugely influential for why Skyline Sports has been so successful amongst Montana State followers, because they were trying to catch Montana forever and they wanted to know, like, what was the things to get there? Like, basically, how do we be cool? How do we be cool?
Yeah.
That's like what they always wanted to know. But also, like, the dynamic is like the makeup of the university and the graduates and the alums. You have a whole bunch of people that are going into jobs where they have access to desk time. They're likely analytical, smart people that want to be engineers, but they also like want to know about information and data and statistics. So they have all this time to read and to listen, et cetera, et cetera. And it's why the fan base there for us, like the people that follow us and the people that have got into this, has been so much more accelerated than the people at Montana. That's a total aside, though. I got to give you a controversial take here.
Okay.
Would you agree that because Montana State is a STEM-oriented school, that most of the expertise majors there, that it is quote unquote, at least in broad strokes, a harder school than Montana? Would you agree with that?
Sure. I mean, I guess that's the perception.
What I'm getting at is that there's not as many landing pad majors as like the old school football coaches would tell you that you need to have to build a successful football program.
Yeah.
You likely have to take math at Montana State. There's a lot of majors you can take, including the major that I graduated in which you do not have to take math. I did not take math in college. I passed the AP stats test when I was a junior in high school, and I never took math again. So that is possible at Montana. What I'm getting at, though, is there is landing pad majors at Montana, and the fact that Montana State is considered, or at least perceived as, more academically elite than Montana is actually a referendum on Montana athletics, that they should be able to recruit better because it isn't as hard, or at least in the perception of it isn't as hard.
Yeah, correct. Like, it's the difference between all of the kids that go to Stanford need to have good grades versus all the kids who go to whatever, Miami, like, it should be easier to get players, and you have people who are going to the Cats solely because they want to be engineers, which is another thing that's crazy to me. Like, who in the fuck wants to be an engineer? I don't get it. I have no idea.
Oh, man, I've been talking with so many of my buddies that are both either in law or business, which are two of the great majors that the University of Montana has, and we've been talking about this extensively. Like, there's this perception, because people can know how to use Google, where they literally just type in starting salaries for majors, and it gets printed out. And like, engineering is one of the easiest one of the most efficient 4-year degrees you can get, where you have a starting salary of whatever, $77,000, $82,000, $85,000. Okay, I get it. College is expensive. You want to get your value for your degree. You want to not be in crazy amount of student debt. I totally get it. But my argument always for the University of Montana is that it cultivates certain things that you can't learn in a classroom, like networking and creativity and entrepreneurship. And you might make $82,000 right out of college as an engineer. In 25 years, tell me how much you're going to be making. Incrementally more, but not a crazy landslide amount more unless you start your own firm. But what do you have to do to start your own firm? You have to be a business person. You have to have entrepreneurial spirit. So, like, how many people do I know that have degrees? Like, look at me. I got a journalism degree. You want to know what's the lowest paid profession in the United States of America, lower than a teacher even?
Yeah.
Journalists. People that work at newspapers. They make less than you make at freaking Burger King, man. But what did I do? I learned that you have to master the other part of the industry, the business part of it, and go make a business out of the content. But that's so many people, man. That's so many people we know that have taken the avenue of real estate, the avenue of this business, this business, this business.
Yeah.
That's what you can learn at Montana. I wish they would sell that at way higher level.
Yeah. And it's like the, to your point with an engineer, and what I was saying is, like, how did this become in vogue that people want to be engineers? And I can tell you why, because that university is going out with all their resources and saying to high school kids, hey, look at this major that you can do here at our school, and you can make X amount. And have you ever thought about being an engineer? And kids are like, get that in their head. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the Cats to be an engineer because that person showed me. And we've talked about this. Montana doesn't do a good job of selling what they have. You can make far more money being an attorney, being a business owner, being a pharmacist, right? But that's not really what's being sold or made cool to be, where the Cats have done that. They absolutely, to their credit, I will not give them a national title. I'll give them credit on that, though. They did a wonderful job turning that completely around to get kids to want to go to that school. And that's the difference. That's like what we're dealing with, right? So,
and that has to influence recruiting then, right?
For sure. I was told that, okay, I don't know if this is true or not. You guys, the Cats who listen to this, you guys can find this out. I was told that Tommy Malott was being recruited by both schools really heavily, right? From university presidents to the coaches to whatever, trying to get him to go there. I was told that he wanted to be an engineer, and that's why he went to the Cats, and that was like the deciding factor. So, like, why is that the deciding factor when you're, Tommy Malott and you can go to the NFL? I don't know, but they've sold that point to him, as opposed to Montana saying, why would you want to be an engineer? Have you ever thought about pharmacy? Have you thought about, law? Have you thought about all of this stuff? And for whatever reason, that didn't work. And maybe that's just one one example, but I'm sure it's kind of across the board, right? Of Montana not doing a good job of selling what they have. And they have a lot. The schools are, whatever you want to say about each school, and jokes aside, they're the same. All right. It's just what you want to major in, and it's your job to make sure that you sell what you have. And I can tell you, I would not be in the position that I'm in, making the money that I'm making as an attorney, if it were not for the University of Montana.
Absolutely.
And why am I the one having to come on a podcast to highlight this point? Right? This should not be my job. This should not be my job. All right.
Hey, right for my marketing campaign for the new president, whoever the new president is.
Yes.
You can get there from here, and it's a series of just 90-second ads with all of the people that we know that went to the University of Montana that are doing crazy, awesome things, right? Like, you're a top-notch criminal defense lawyer in Denver,
Personal
Colorado.
injury. Personal injury, not criminal defense.
Personal injury, whatever. Like but you
that's Holloway and Holing.
Yeah, right. But you've done it. You've made it. Like, of course we're always going to be competitive. We're never going to make it. But we could go on down the line, man. Like, Austin Mullins is Lainey Wilson's manager in Nashville. I mean, he's like touring around the world with one of the biggest country music stars that we know. The Utterbacks are like pharmacists that own pharmacies all across Montana. Sean Lipsock is an eye doctor that's like one of the premier eye doctors in the state in Billings. The Palmers are top-notch medical device sales guys. Shan Schiller playing the NFL.
Cody started a marijuana industry and sold it for millions of dollars.
He started Pure
millions.
we started Pure Canada, the CBD company. He sold it for $60 million.
Yeah, and I saw an article come out that said he sold his business to focus on philanthropy. I was like, the guy I used to go goose hunting with in Drummond with Chase just sold a business for what? Like, yeah, I do not like all those people. Have them on a goddamn ad and say, hey, this is what you can do. Right? You don't need to be a nerd crunching numbers in a closet for some corporation.
Man.
Like, you know, you could
it's
be.
Not even just the athletes, right? Like we got buddies that are like Mike Nugent's the head of Berkshire Hathaway for Montana. Like this is that's a big job, man. Like Britt Wohlberg sold as many houses as anybody that we know, as the official realtor of Griz Athletics. Like on down the line, man. Like there's so many people you could point to. Eric Sprunk was one of the top 7 guys at Nike, went to Montana. Brian Salonen played for the Dallas freaking Cowboys, man. Now he's got a financial advisory firm that's been wildly successful over the last 30 to 35 years. I mean, I got a list of hundreds of people. And I think that's what you have to push back on is like, especially the people like me or like people that had a degree in something, but then they took what they learned at Montana. That's so much more than just the degree, right? Like you can say we were just knuckleheads being idiots at stocks, and we were, But like Nate Holloway, who sponsors this podcast, will tell you, he built his network that helped him now have a firm in Missoula because he was serving drinks at stocks, man. Like you meet people and you get to know people and you learn how to talk to people.
Yep.
Like that is my whole sales tactic is I know all the people in Missoula and Bozeman, so I can just go talk to them. And we don't have to talk about what they're buying. We just talk about the Griz and the Cats. And then, oh, by the way, what do you want to do for your advertising the next 3 months? Okay, here it is. There you go, you know. But that's what you learn at Montana, man. You learn how to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I remember growing up in Bozeman, like there were 2 guys, Dick Hart and Larry Osheim, who like basically owned everything and much things across the state. And then there was like not many other people. And then Missoula, there were all of these different people, like you highlighted, all these different business owners and lawyers and pharmacists and whatever. And like, honestly, I think everything in Bozeman is still owned by Dick Hart and Larry Osheim. So like, what is producing, what was coming out of the universities? Like my sales pitch would be, hey, if you want a good starting salary to be an engineer and to work in a dark room, great, you can do that. If you want to own the firm that employs the engineers, then you should come to the University of Montana.
Exactly.
So yeah, and again, I don't know why I'm the one doing this. Like I'm just a Griz shit poster who is funny, who has a podcast that people seem to enjoy, right? Don't work for the university, but the fact that I have to come on here like this and highlight this stuff and do more work than they've done in 10 years bothers me. So maybe they will see this. I know they're listening and watching and like, I don't know, put something together, work. Because if Clay hires a good president like Waded, right? And I don't know if he's done well the last 2 times, but if he gets one in here like that, that president's going to want to see results that are results like
tangible.
Tangible that the Cats did as well, right? Yes. Like they're going to want to catch them now, and you're going to have to show your work. And sitting back here and doing nothing is not going to cut it. Which, by the way, I did talk to like the athletic department officials and whatnot. I can tell you that they want to fix the problem, and they are listening, and that they hear it, right? Like they hear it, and they want to try. Whether or not they do or not, as a result of our most recent events or a new president, I have no idea. But I know that they're listening, and I know all your guys' complaints that you put online. They see all that stuff, and that they want to fix it. They do. I just, it may be too little too late for a lot of them.
Yo, Tara, what up, E? What's going on? Man, those are some nice medals.
Yeah, man, these are hard to come by.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of them.
Well, that's nothing like going to March Madness, though.
We did go to a national championship.
Okay, guys, whatever. Let's just get on the Montana party bus and head over to Press Box for lunch.
Yeah.
Nuanez now and Skyline Sports, covering Montana athletics and the Big Sky Conference better than anybody. The Montana Party Bus and the Press Box are also proud supporters of Montana athletes.
Hey, cheers to you guys, man. Cheers to Montana. Cheers to chasing more championships.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
That's why I bring up the institutional momentum part of all of this, because I do think that there is, again, micro things that athletics and specifically football can take care of and attack. But I also think there's a macro issue in which that it's uphill sledding, especially for in-state recruiting, not just football players.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, the only thing that Montana is beating Montana State in terms of in-state recruiting is soccer, because the Cats don't have it. Like,
correct.
But other than, like, that's the swing, right? I said this on my ESPN show on Monday. In a state like Montana that's rural, that has a flagship in the University of Montana and a land grant in Montana State, the ecosystem is at its most healthy if, let's say that there's 30,000 kids that want to go to one of the 2 Division I institutions. If the disparity is 55-45 or even 60-40, that's okay. But when it's 75-25 on either side, that's not okay. Montana had it 70-30 on their side, and now it's almost back to 70-30 in the Cats' favor. Neither one of those things is good for the environment that exists within the state, but you have to have some sort of balance. And I just wonder how much the lack of balance impacts just the state of being at the athletic.
Yeah. Well, and look, I know it's been a wake-up call for a lot of people, and I've heard the same rumors that you have heard, right? The Cats released their stadium renderings and stuff, and like all this building that they're going to continue to do. And it's kind of lit a fire under people's asses. So I don't know. There were some conversations insinuated that there are upgrades and facilities along the way or on the way. Whether or not that includes the stadium, like press boxes that I told you guys about before. I know that is the big ticket item they want to do. I don't know if they've gotten the funding from that. I'm guessing that would be something that they ask one of their biggest donors for. We'll see if that happens, but I know that after this, right, like they're going to try to put shovels in the ground to show tangible results. And if it's building stadium press boxes or, putting lights in the soccer stadium so that they can play those night games or whatever, and anything facility related, that'll help a bit. I mean, it helps the recruiting a bit, but there has to be not only that, right? It can't just be, hey, we did the stadium press box. Look at our stadium. Because Washington Grizzly Stadium is still better than Bobcat Stadium. Like they've done a lot of work to Bobcat Stadium. It's not as shitty as it used to be. But over the last 10 years, has it helped with recruits? No, right? So like it has to be more than just that. And I hope that that's what they're doing too.
Okay, there was one other thing I wanted to get to. But now it's slipping my mind, because I made a whole list of hits and misses in the transfer world, but I think that's a good, are these guys good enough segment? So maybe we can do that at
spring ball.
At a later day. I think we should do it between now. Maybe we should one more of these sort of reduxes before spring ball. But I mean, is there anything else you'd want to add? Like what characteristics do you hope for in the next president? Because that's been one thing that's been so interesting, right? When Bodner got hired, it was my first year at ESPN Missoula, which has now become ESPN Montana. We now have a statewide radio and TV show, which is great, and it's a huge platform for people to get exposure on. But Bodner, when he first got hired, he was very tactful and smart about reaching out and trying to do media stuff with people to get to, like, gender confidence and put himself out there. And we did this fun golf segment where, we played golf, and it was like golf with the president. We like interviewed him in between holes, and we made like this 8-minute cut up, and we used that on my show. We used it on ABC Fox News and et cetera, et cetera. And I never forget me asking him about Montana athletics and how streamlined and non-in-depth he talked about it, and how it was very clear that he did not understand the importance of it to the university. And he made this one comment where he said, winning doesn't matter. It's the journey to get there. And I remember saying to him, like, on the live interview, like, man, you're going to learn that at Montana, winning definitely matters, man. And like, that's a cute, like, Army, military way of thinking about things, but that ain't it with the Griz. So to me, like, selfishly, I just hope that they have a president that leans into athletics. You don't want to over prioritize athletics, but at a school like Montana, there is no better driver to level the playing field in exactly all the criticisms we're levying right now than to be badass in athletics. I think it's the number one solution you could have.
Correct. And like a lot of people, that this is what we talked about with Dr. Luke Wood at Sac State. Football is not just football, right? The exposure that you get from it brings more out-of-state students, which brings more tuition and fees. And then those people graduate from university, and then you have more people that can donate to your university. So like, you want to be as good as you possibly can in athletics so that you can draw not only ticket sales, right, but students. If you're on ABC, that matters, right? If people see you that live in Kentucky and like, I would love to go to that school, they're paying out-of-state tuition. So like, you want that. For the university president, I honestly, I want Waded Cruzado, basically. Like, I want her characteristics. I want someone who is ruthless, who knows how to shake the trees for money, who knows how to pressure people into doing what she wants, and who will not accept mediocrity. That's what I want. Like, before Cruzado, I can't tell you again, I think it was like Dick Hart and Larry Osheim were the big donators to the university. And then she comes in, and they have so many more big ticket spenders for the university, like from Martel Construction to, I think that's what it is, to like the president of ConAgra Foods. Like, her husband's a cat and ran track, and that's how they built the track, or it's an indoor facility, but that's why it's named after the track athletes, is because of that. So Cruzado is just going in there and shaking money and making things happen, bowling the stadium, doing the indoor facility, doing all the stuff that she built just from, hey, I need money, and I'm going to find every single source that I can that is connected to this university that will donate. And right now, Montana has, like, we have some people, but if I ask you who is the number one contributor to Montana, it's easy. It's Dennis Washington. It's the Washington family.
Right.
And then after that, it's like an example of what it would take to finish the stadium. And I don't know if Dennis would ever let this happen, but say they came up to Dennis and they're like, I want $100 million to do the stadium and to finish it off. And Dennis said no. Who else would give that amount of money? I can't think of one for Montana.
Right.
And they need more people like that. And that's what a university president does.
But don't you also need to maybe not need to have a Dennis Washington? Like, replace Dennis Washington with 5,000 people, right?
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Like, if you go into the Champion Center at Montana, there's like the dedication board for all the people that gave certain tiers worth of money, right?
Yeah.
There's several hundred people on that board. They did a great job raising the money. Obviously, the Washington family put them over the top. I think they gave them $7 million. I think it was like a $13 million facility. So they did about half of it, but then they raised the rest of it, organically. But if you go in the Bobcat Athletic Complex, walls of names, thousands of names. Like that is my number one question is you gotta like there is such a we are going to cater to the oldest and richest people that have been removed from college for 40 or 50 years rather than the people that are either in college or just out of college or a generation removed from college. And I think that's such a miss because why do the people that are in their 60s love going to college stuff? One of the reasons is because it reminds them of being in college.
Yeah.
So don't sell all the courtside tickets at basketball games to all the old people for so much money. Make it where the kids are at. And I know that's a bad example because students don't go to basketball games anymore, and that's just that's a nationwide problem. But that's one example, right? They took the zoo out and they sold all the seats where all that wild 19-year-olds used to party at to a bunch of 60-year-old silver-haired people with money. That's a dumb move. It's just dumb. Cater to the young people. But like you see this, you go to quarterback club all the time. What's the average age in quarterback club?
Oh my God. It's like the blue plate special.
Like
it's
2 years short of dead? Like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's old. It's old. And and they all talk to it. I can't get into what's said at quarterback club, but like they all ask questions and they're all kind of ridiculous. And I don't know how Bobby doesn't lose his mind during those meetings, but like I hear him and I just start laughing. And it's just like, what are we doing here? And for me, it's like back to the donating. I don't understand how you have, lawyers, pharmacists, business owners, finance. Like we have finance degrees. I lived with 3 finance majors when I was in my last year in college, right? How do we not have a deeper donation pool?
Right.
And more people than just Dennis Washington. I don't know.
Exactly.
And maybe it's because they don't ask. Maybe it's because they don't promote. Maybe it's because they don't do a lot of things.
Let me ask you this. You graduated college in what, 2008?
Yeah.
From Montana? Okay, so you've been out for a little bit less than 20 years. And how old are you, 40?
Yeah, just turned 40.
40. Okay.
I'm a man.
I'm a man. I'm almost a man. I'm gonna be 40 soon. How many of your former teammates are in quarterback club and engaged in the program at the level that you are?
Oh man. I can't think of many.
Think about how big of a miss that is.
Yeah. I mean,
even better question. How many of your teammates who are my classmates, like I'm a year younger than Andrew for those that haven't followed along, but we all hung out with the same group of guys. Like how many of the guys that we know that we still keep up with couldn't afford quarterback club?
Oh yeah, no, they all
literally none. All of them could afford quarterback club.
But it's like, Kyle Ryan is in there.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Dwyer is in there.
Sure.
I think Jeff Larson's in there.
Yep.
I saw those.
You played with 200 freaking guys, right?
Yeah. I know. That's the thing.
We still keep up with 50 of them. Like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, I keep thinking about the guys that I played the golf tournament with, like that I ran into. Like, I think Sell was there. I think Carson Bender was there. But there weren't a ton.
Yes.
Right. And you have guys that you can get, right? Kyle donates a lot and stuff like that. But like, again, the Austin Mullins of the world, the people like that, Cole Berquist, like there's conversations to be had there. I don't think he's a member of quarterback club I don't know what he's doing donating, but he's building buildings in Missoula.
And it's just a matter of effort and connection, right? Like, and again, this comes all the way back to the conversation about transparency and information and the desire for people to want to be informed. You have to make them feel they're a part of something. The easiest way to do that is by making them feel like they know what's going on within the programs and they know the players. That's the easiest way to do it. Like, again, Skyline Sports is such an interesting example. I have so many followers that are new friends of mine through this endeavor. The vast majority of my old friends, they don't follow the Griz at all. And guess what we did in college? My friends either played for the Griz or we went and watched our buddies that played for the Griz. And that's all we did. That was our entire social dynamic was Griz football, Griz basketball, Griz soccer. Like, we just went to all the stuff. Guess how many of those people follow this stuff now? Not that many. And it's because of the disconnect in information. And also it's because they're not doing enough. This is part of the bigger problem, again, of reaching out, making people feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see if the changes that happen now with the new president fix that. But if they hire Royce Ingstrom 2.0, like, we're fucked, guys. Like, you might as well sell the university and all the buildings of the land, because if there's another Royce Ingstrom, like, just pack it in and say it was fun while it lasted.
I gotta go. I can hear my son crying. Nap time's over. But Talkin Schmidt will do another Is It Good Enough soon. But
and we have the Masters preview that we always do.
Yes,
that's in April. Maybe we'll do something after signing day, and maybe we'll do something spring ball. So Colter talked me into doing this a lot longer than I was planning on doing it. So maybe it'll be like a full year thing, so that the Holloway and Holing can get some bang for their buck. So
that's right.
Just follow along. We'll do episodes when we do them. Won't be as frequent as once a week, but we'll figure it out.
Don't worry, Nate. This one was free, but I'm calling for an extended sponsorship soon. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for doing it, Schmidt.
Yeah, take care.